the Sunday games analysis of Austin Gleeson was very much to highlight the fact that he wasn't working overly hard. Now, the analysis was right, and it really showed that he could have done an awful lot more. So, irrespective of whether it was right or not, was it right to do it? Because I don't know if we've seen that level of analysis and picking someone out in hurling before. Maybe you could say in Gaelic football, it's been done with Aidan O'Shea and Sean Kavanagh when the obvious incident there. You see it in soccer all the time, like Paul Pogba, Dimitar Berbatov, players like this. Are they working hard enough for the team? This type of thing. And in a professional sport, maybe that's okay. But I just don't know if we've gone to this level that we've gone with Austin Gleeson before. And something that kind of sprung to mind was in 2011, Rory McIlroy was 4 shots ahead in the Masters, and he just tanks down the back nine. And he was 21 years of age. He's a professional, and they decided to spare him. They stopped showing his round in the last couple of holes because he went on and shot an 80. Austin Gleeson is 23 years of age, and I just wonder, irrespective of whether it's accurate analysis of the sport, it's an amateur sport, and I like this sort of analysis. That's what I do. I've definitely called out players before for not playing well over a series of games, but it's just the way it was highlighted so vividly with the video footage and the spotlight on him. I'm just not sure. And as well, the problem with GA players now at intercounty level is you put your whole life into it, even at club level to some degree as well. You put your whole life into it, it becomes your identity, and I think your mood rises and falls with how your GA career is going. So if it's going poorly for you, as it has been for Austin this year, take the Clare league game where they hammered him aside. I've watched a number of their games and it just hasn't gone well for him. I think he should probably work harder myself. And I think you could just put it that way. He was taken off at half time. He already knows he plays poorly, and he probably feels terrible. Who knows? Maybe he doesn't actually mind that much about the analysis. But then, like, that could ruin his whole week. Didn't go well against Tipperary, and maybe he was feeling terribly all week. Has another poor game, taken off at half time, and maybe he's sitting there just having a terrible day, and then this Sunday game analysis comes in on top of it as well. Now maybe it's to try and force a period of self-reflection for Gleeson, who was Hurler of the Year just 3 years ago, but maybe it'll have the opposite effect, because it might come across to him like a bit of a character assassination, and who knows what effect that has on somebody's mentality and their well-being. So again, I come back to it, the analysis was right, it was accurate analysis, but was it the right thing to do it? So what do you think? So when Clare were beaten badly by Tipperary the other day, what stood out to a lot of people was they were taking off their main men, John Conlon, Shane O'Donnell and so on, Podge Collins. What I wondered, as the game went on, and you reflect back on the last couple of years, what Tipperary might have struggled to some degree, and they were on top all over the field, if Clare went with just big men inside. Because they matched up nicely with Alan Flynn, Barry Heffernan and Cathal Barrett. You had 2 small men against 2 small men, and Barry Heffernan a big man on a big man. So if Cathal Barrett and Alan Flynn are both beneath 6 foot, which they are, and they're not huge men, why not bring in Aaron Shanaher, put Peter Duggan inside the full forward line, and John Conlon as well? Because I'm not sure that matches up particularly well for Tipperary there. They'd have to make switches, and that might disrupt how they set up the team. Now maybe they would have just dropped back Paddy Maher and Ronan Maher and said go man for man there and have someone else play the sweeper. I'm not sure, but taking off your main man, it says to me we've given up on this game, which perhaps they have, and we're just going to mind those men for Limerick for the Limerick game next week. But I think losing by 13 points, the scoring differential and all that, maybe they would have been better off with going big inside and lump the ball in there, because what they were doing beforehand just it obviously didn't work. I have a big question about whether we might look at the idea of 6 teams in both Munster and Leinster next season. Now, it's ridiculous to think that there was a bit of a campaign for Offaly to remain in Leinster last season because, they're a traditional name, they've won All-Irelands and all that. They've been going so poorly since in the Joe McDonagh that obviously all that talk won't be coming anytime soon, and maybe they're heading to the Christie Ring. But if you think for next season, like Carlow would possibly step down to the Joe McDonagh again, but they've done well in their 3 games so far. Well, they were blown away in the first half against Kilkenny, but other than that, did very well against Galway. They had a good league campaign. They did well against Dublin as well, even though Dublin had 14 men in the second half and still lost by a comfortable enough margin. I just wonder if it was up to 6 teams, then Carlow are probably going to have 5 years playing at least 4 group games every year, and they're up at the top league level at the moment. How much would they be brought on? It'd be worth seeing. Now, of course, if you have 6 teams up in both provinces, that means Kerry are up in Munster, and they're probably going to take a couple of heavy beatings, and you're going to have another team from the Joe McDonagh up in Leinster, possibly a couple of heavy beatings there as well. But if you've got 3 games per week in both provinces, yeah, you'll end up with 1 turkey shoot maybe per province. But how is that different to any league in the world? You look at the Premier League, La Liga, whatever you want to look at, there's always a 4 or a 5-0 every week. So that doesn't mean the whole league should be disbanded. You look at rugby, there's going to be a game that's won 43 points to 5 as well. It's not the end of the day. But maybe that's the right balance at the moment, because it's a little disjointed having 5 teams in both. So add in 1 more on each side. It doesn't change the overall makeup of the championship, but it ensures that the likes of a Carlow get 4 games per year, maybe Kerry as well. Maybe they can step up. And after a few years, if it's not working, it's not working. So let us know what you think on that one.